Can Zack D Films animation get any worse? Let's find out.
When you drop the puck, air rushes up from thousands of tiny holes, lifting it and letting it fly across the surface. You see, the table was loosely based on ice hockey, but while pucks glide on ice, they barely move on other surfaces. To solve this, a powerful fan is hidden underneath the table, pumping air in to create a thin cushion underneath the pucks, letting the pucks sail smoothly across the surface, just like ice. While he was studying, a hand reached through the window and dropped a velvet case onto his desk. Inside were two glowing contact lenses.
Bro just sat there and looked. Bro, you don't know who that is, bro.
He slid one onto each eye, and immediately the text on the page moved. Diagrams animated, labels slid in place, and the answers appeared right on the paper. Every problem was solved before he even finished reading it. On the way out of the library, he saw the man who gave him the lenses watching in the distance. During labs, the lines he needed to cut appeared as paths, and when taking a test, every question lit up with answers only he could see. He graduated at the top of his class and saw the mysterious man again in the crowd. Years passed by, and he became a legend in the industry. While operating, overlays hovered over organs, showing him exactly what to do. And every single one of his patients survived. After years of this, the call came. The president had suffered a stroke live on air. Emergency surgery was needed, and he was their best bet. His hands were shaking as he scrubbed in, but as he stood over the president, the lenses immediately brightened, drawing neat paths across the failing heart. He began to push the scalpel into the skin, but then everything disappeared. There was nothing to guide his hands. Shaking, he pushed the scalpel anyway and cut too deep. Blood spurted up over his arms, and it was too late. Monitors were flatlining. The president was dead. The crowd was horrified as they
Bro blew the chance of a lifetime, bro. No.
looked down at the body, except for one man. He was completely unfazed, with a faint smile on his face as he turned and walked away. You should look for
Bro practiced his whole life for that one moment and blew it, bro. He sold the game, bro. He sold, bro.
a river if you get lost in the woods and watch which way it flows, then follow it. You see, humans have always needed water for drinking and farming, so they would typically build towns along rivers, meaning following one might lead you back to civilization. But some rivers run through empty forests for miles, meaning you could be walking for a while. Press the wood against a curved wall, then slip a marker through a roll of tape and slide it along the wall. Now slide the roll of tape along the surface, letting the round edge follow every curve. And because the tape roll keeps the marker the same distance away, it draws the wall's exact curvature on the boards. Now just follow the outside of the line as you cut, then sand it down and enjoy the perfect fit. The floorboard snapped under his feet at the abandoned building, and he fell straight down a sewer pipe. And when he hit the water, the current swept him away for nearly a mile, leaving him trapped in total darkness. Over 100 rescuers searched the pipes with floating cameras, and 12 hours later, they spotted muddy handprints along the walls. They rushed to an opening nearby where they heard him cry for help. And after tossing down a rope for him to grab, they finally pulled him out, covered in sewage, but alive.
Hey, what are y'all doing in that situation though? I mean, it really was nowhere he could go, honestly.
They built a giant metal frame and covered it with a thick rubber skin before sticking in hoses filled with pressurized air to make it move around. And after connecting it to a crane, the shark could swim underwater and even pop out from the waves. But they only tested it in fresh water. So when the shark was put into the sea, the salt water rusted over the electrical parts. It stopped moving and then sank. So instead, the director shot several scenes from the shark's point of view, which meant he barely had to show it at all, and what you imagined in the water ended up being far scarier than any rubber prop could ever be. The blind man climbs the tree while listening to directions from his armless friend below. He cuts out small shoots to replant before the armless man tucks a shovel between his cheek and shoulder, using his feet to push it into the soil and dig holes. The blind man places the shoot inside the holes, and his friend gathers water from the river with a bucket and his feet. For 13 years, they've been doing it this way every day, in the hopes of restoring their village. And even though their work has been destroyed by drought and then floods, they still haven't stopped planting.
Hey, you don't need arms or eyes. Teamwork makes the dream work.
When someone dies in the house, the beekeeper will gently knock on the hive, according to tradition. Then they'll whisper the dead person's name inside. Some even place a black cloth over the hive, while others turn it towards the funeral procession. Now, at weddings, the couple introduces themselves to the bees before a bright cloth is tied to the hive, and a piece of cake is left behind. Now, beekeepers have done this for centuries, because if they don't keep the bees up to date, well, they just might stop making honey.
Hey, if you made it this far into the video, man, please drop a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notice so you'll be notified whenever I upload. Back to the video.
They made the caterpillars smell the chemical. Then tiny electric shocks shot through its body, which taught it to avoid that smell. And when the caterpillar was ready to transform, it dug into the earth and shed its skin one final time. Next, its own cells began breaking it down from the inside. Its muscles and organs were recycled, turning its tissues into a nutrient fluid. And when the transformation was finally complete, they tested it again with that same smell, and immediately it turned away, meaning the moth still remembered its life as a caterpillar. She handed him a 1-pound weight, and
Wait, moth? I thought they turned to butterflies. I don't know.
he laughed. He had lifted much heavier weights before, so he grabbed it and held it out in front of him with ease. But then
I thought caterpillars turned into butterflies. Not that I thought moths turned. You get it.
teacher told him to keep holding it. A few minutes passed, and his arm started to tighten. After half an hour, it began to ache. Then the pain grew sharp. By the end of the period, his arm was shaking. He could barely keep it up. Now, the weight never changed. It was still just 1 pound, but the longer he carried it, the heavier it felt. And that's when the teacher explained. Thinking about a problem for a moment is manageable, but if you carry that stress all day, it'll drain you. Carry it for years, and it can break you. Not because the problem got bigger, but because you got weaker from never setting it down. The toddler wandered away from his home, and search teams combed the desert for him. Nearly 7 miles away, the boy walked until dark and curled up under a tree, all alone. But a ranch dog was patrolling for coyotes nearby when he found the boy. And instead of returning home, the dog stayed beside him all night, guarding him from coyotes until morning. Then the dog led the boy to the ranch, and the boy was finally reunited with his family. When the
Hey, a dog is a man's best friend. Or toddler's best friend, as we should say.
Trigger was pulled, a wheel would spin to create sparks, igniting gunpowder inside and sending a bullet flying out of the barrel and toward the enemy. And if the shooter missed and the other soldier charged, he could just swing the axe at short range, fighting off the enemy soldier. But since the axe head was big and heavy, it was hard to aim the gun, and the gun's body made it hard to hold the axe, meaning it would have been more useful as two separate weapons. He placed hot milk into the freezer next to another cup of milk that was at room temperature, and for some reason, the hot milk froze faster than the room temperature milk. And even though he researched it, the boy couldn't figure out why. Some scientists think it's because ice needs something to catch onto as it freezes, meaning in a perfectly smooth container, cold water can get stuck in a liquid state even when the temperature is below freezing. But since the hot water has bubbles to start the freezing process, it freezes like normal. But since no one has ever proven a theory, we still don't have an answer. The maggot is pulled out of the body and measured to figure out its age. Then scientists calculate the time it took to grow that big, plus how long it takes for an egg to hatch. Then they add the time it takes a dead body to start attracting flies, working backwards to guess the time of death. But if they find an insect that doesn't belong where the person was found, it could mean they were murdered somewhere else, and the insect entered the corpse before the killer moved the body. Her child accidentally fell right into the storm drain, is what she told the police. So they spent hours sifting through trash, desperately looking for any sign of life. But there wasn't anyone inside. You see, the woman couldn't stand the trash clogging up the drain. And even though people already made complaints about it, nothing changed. So she made up this fake emergency to tell the police, and after just a few hours of searching, the drain was left totally clean.
Nah, man, she's supposed to go to jail. That's a false police report. But anyways, man, that's it for that video. If you did enjoy, drop a like. Hey, till next time, Third Eye Prince. We out.